Doing something different this year with Ghost Biker Explorations Season 6. Every single episode of Season 6 is going to be live.
Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down throughout the generations. But what if those legends are true? My job is to travel to these destinations, explore them, and figure out the mystery that lies within. Hey everyone, happy Thursday. You are here watching Behind the Screams Season 6, Episode 5, and I am your host, The Ghost Biker. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and we've got a really great show. We are catching up and this is the final Behind the Screams. So this is the Behind the Screams for our season finale, which was absolutely so much fun. So I do have some special guests that's going to be on here tonight that we're going to be talking about the location. We're going to be talking about the experiences. We're going to be talking about the history, and we're going to be dissecting the episode. So I hope you guys, if you've not had the chance to go back and watch it, I hope you go back, check it out, because we will be making a full-scale episode of that, of this episode that will probably release here in February. Because goodness knows I have not had time to go through all of the evidence. We did have static cams and all of that set up. So hopefully be able to go over all that soon. But what an amazing and crazy season it has been. And it has been absolutely because of you guys who have watched and helped me make this the most immersive and interactive season that we have had yet. So I want to thank you all for that. I want to say hello to the folks who are over here in the chat room over here. We've got Nancy Weems. Thank you so much for watching. We got Sonia Thompson from The Walking Dead. Hello, how are you? Miss Susan Purcell, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Daryl Paulette, he was on the show last week. If you missed last week's show, it was so much fun. We had Daryl and we had Tiffany, and we were talking about Clover Hill Village in Appomattox, Virginia, in episode 4 of the season, and we broke that thing down, and we actually saw some really cool things. We caught a shadow figure while we were breaking down the episode, and so that's always really cool whenever you see that stuff live for the first time. So we got PBR Man, and then we also have Mr. Carl Gerald there from West Virginia. Lauren K, hello, thank you so much for watching. And then of course Miss Dee Dee Jabrell from Dream Interpretations by Dee Dee. I was on her, we recorded her show earlier this week. She's tuned in for every single episode, and she had me on her Haunted Hour podcast. And so I know that's going to be releasing here very, very soon. So we broke down the entire season. But yeah, it's hard to believe season 6 is already over, and that we're going to be getting into the evidence review phase here, which is so much fun. I always love going back and doing that. And of course, it's a little different this year because we did all the episodes live. Normally in the past, we've gone over all the evidence. We're releasing everything. But this year, doing it a little bit different. So if you have not gone back and watched all of the episodes, the first episode was taking place there at the historic village of Rugby. Second one was in London, Kentucky, and that was at Heritage Hills Entertainment Center, and then which was of course an old homestead. And then episode 3 took place at Haygood Village, which was there, or Haygood Mill Village there in Haygood, South Carolina, or Pickens, South Carolina. And then of course back up to Appomattox, Virginia, to Clover Hill Village, and then to this past week there to Rockcastle County, and to Renfro Valley Entertainment Center, which we'll be talking about tonight. And so Dee Dee says that episode is going to release on Saturday, so we'll definitely be sharing that out and watching that or releasing that whenever she puts it out there. So just want to talk a little bit about a few things that was going on. Of course, after we got back from Kentucky, we ended up going straight to Paducah, Kentucky. Came down here for a few days, and then was in Paducah, Kentucky for the Harleys and Harlot event that took place there at the Hotel Metropolitan. And this place was so much fun. What we did was we met there. It was a sold out event, and they had a murder mystery sort of whodunit sort of event. They did that for the first little bit, had dinner, and then it transitioned into a ghost hunt there at the Hotel Metropolitan. And so that's Paducah's African American Museum. And so it was really cool to actually be transitioning and doing two music places that are famous for such amazing music history there in Renfro Valley there on Tuesday, and then on Saturday night there in Paducah. So many amazing African American artists stayed at this location during the time of segregation. And so just kind of wanted to transition through a few of the photos there. Gavin Kelly and Paula Kelly, they helped out with the ghost hunt. I know Paula, she's written a book there that had a story about the Hotel Metropolitan, so she shared the history with all of us. And then of course JB Coates, and then TJ, his event company, was the one who had the event there. So it was great to be surrounded by such fun company. And there's JB Coates. She's such an amazing author, and she was just so much fun leading the event, and then just hearing the different stories that surround this location. Want to see if I can. There's some of the photos there from the murder mystery event. I've never seen a group of people get so into their characters and into the event. So I'm actually really looking forward to going back and listening to audio from this event, because I really feel like we may have captured some cool EVPs during this session while everyone was in character and while everyone was having so much fun. It really seems like sometimes we get some of our best stuff whenever we're not actively investigating. So it was a cool event. I was very thankful to be a part of that, surrounded by all of that history. I mean, some of the names who stayed in this location: Ray Charles, Tina Turner, Sam Cooke, just some really amazing African American artists from during the Chitlin circuit was whenever they stayed there. And so this was a really cool place. I highly recommend you go check out the Hotel Metropolitan, if not as a paranormal destination, but as they've got a bed and breakfast there. So definitely I hope you will go and check that out. The other thing that I want to make sure to mention, it's been extremely busy at the historic Scott County Jail this week. As soon as we got back, and we had sold out tours over the weekend, wrapping up October and transitioning here into November. But yesterday, actually Tuesday and Wednesday, we were spotlighted on WBIR Channel 10 News as their hometown location on 10 About Town. And so meteorologist Cassie Knowles came to the jail, and she interviewed us and interviewed Sally the jail cat. Can't forget her. And so it was really fun to be spotlighted. They spotlighted the town of Huntsville and talked about, we've already got our Christmas lights up here. And then also they talked about Brimstone Recreation and some of the other really fun and cool things that you can do here within the county. Speaking of the jail, we do have our tour dates up for November. We're working on December, but you can come. You can take a flashlight tour of the jail pretty much any weekend during the month here of November, and we will definitely be open for on Black Friday. So we will be closed on Thanksgiving, but we will be open on Black Friday. And then, of course, we do have guided ghost hunts available there. We've also got our schedule up for historic Rugby Village. You can come and you can take an after dark tour, as well as do a guided ghost hunt there. I know this weekend we've got dual investigations that are going to be taking place at Rugby and at the historic Scott County Jail, but we still have a few dates open here during the month of November. We also have a few dates open during December. We've not put out the flashlight tour schedule just yet, but I hope that you guys will stay tuned to the page because we will be opening up our 2024 schedule for paranormal investigations at the historic Scott County Jail as well as historic Rugby. And we may be doing some really interesting things for our cold months, January through March, with having, some extended dates, times, that sort of thing. So I hope you'll be on the lookout for that. And you can find that information on the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page or www.historicscottcojail.com or under Historic Rugby After Dark Tours and Investigations. So I'm going to go ahead and now that we've got all of that out of the way, we've got no more Ghost Biker events coming up this season. We're going to be gearing up for 2024. So be on the lookout for that information to come out. But I want to go ahead and get to tonight's guest. So if you all have any questions or any comments about this past investigation that we had, or just a question for our guests in general, please feel free to put those over in the comment sections. And if you don't mind, please put those in all caps, just so I make sure I don't miss that whenever we're going through. And I just want to throw up here on the screen my business partner and friend, Chris Sumner. She's put up the link there to our webpage. So let me go ahead and I'm going to welcome my guests. I've got Mr. Lee Brunner, who is the operations manager there at the Renfro Valley Entertainment Center, and Miss Jessica Blankenship, who is with she's the executive director there at Rock Castle Tourism Department, correct?
Yeah, getting the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame.
Yes. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. Good evening, everyone.
So let's go ahead and if you don't mind, Jessica, go ahead and tell us a little bit, because you were the one who got this set up here with us, and it's just so wonderful to be able to work with you all on this event. But if you don't mind, go ahead and tell us a little bit about Rock Castle County there in Kentucky.
Well, Rock Castle County is just an hour south of Lexington. We're about 130 miles from Knoxville, just north of it. And it's been very historic. It's well known for Renfro Valley with the entertainment center. John Lair was the original owner and founder of it. And he brought it down. It was originally in Chicago, then it was in Cincinnati. 85 years come next year, it came to Renfro Valley, and he expanded it. He had the old original barn, and it just kind of expanded from in the 80s. They had a new barn. They had a small village where they sold different shops. And then they had across the street was an old restaurant where it was literally some of the best fried chicken you would ever eat. They had a lodge, campground. They still have the campground and quite a few acres, but the original old radio show was filmed there, and they would have shows from Wednesday through Sunday. Sunday, the gospel gathering was one of the biggest things. It was the longest running radio show just behind the Grand Ole Opry for many years. And also, it's pretty well known in these parts because of the concerts on Fridays and Saturday nights, and it's pretty active and busy. And right next door, we have got the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. It is the state official Hall of Fame honoring all forms of music. We've got over 60 inductees, and it's actually in the barn and then expanded and to 16,000 square feet of exhibit space, and it's in John Lair's original barn. And so tourism actually owns the Hall of Fame as well as John Lair's house, which is right next door, and that's a historic structure in itself as well. So we've got that, and then we've got Saltpeter Cave, and then we've also got Anglin Falls. We've got a Rock Castle Speedway, and a wide variety of locally owned shops as well as restaurants, and Lake Linville is some of the best fishing that you'll have in Kentucky.
Wow. I love that. I mean, there's so many cool things to do. And who knew, that Kentucky had such a robust, I guess, music scene. I mean, I know it's known for its bluegrass, but just, I mean, such a variety of all types of music, really.
Yeah. And here recently, like this past year, and Lee can even talk a little bit more about it, Renfro Valley was always known as Kentucky's country music capital, and you can really say the whole community is now Kentucky's music capital because we are honoring all forms. They just had Ted Nugent back in July,
Nice.
so they go from gospel to rock to rap to a little bit everything basically.
Oh, I love that. And I'm hoping to, when I was up there, it was a little bit of a quicker trip because we were
Mhm.
focused there on Renfro Valley. But I'm
Mhm.
hoping to be able to come up and see the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame and John Lear's house. And it's just amazing that it's just absolutely right there. We're within walking distance from where we were.
Yeah, just I mean, literally just right across the road, and we would love to have you back.
Well, I will definitely get in touch with you about coming back because that was such a fun trip. And I know we used to stop in Renfro Valley a lot. That was kind of our stopping point where we would eat when we would go visit
Mhm.
family in Ohio. And so we would be passing through from there. And I remember seeing the barn and seeing everything, and then finally getting to go to some concerts with my mom and dad a
Mhm.
few years ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up a few of the pictures from
Mhm.
that location where we investigated. And Lee, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit more about that as I kind of cycle through the pictures, talking about a little bit of the history and just sort of the structure of how, as I would sort of call it, almost like a complex because there's just so many things that are there.
And one other thing to note, like Kentucky's music scene's really blown up over the last few years.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I would imagine. I had no idea that it was so large.
That's the back of the old barn there. That's
And s
outside of the old barn. We actually
and
re-roofed that thing. You all had perfect timing.
nice.
It'll get repainted, but it'll take a minute.
And so you said this one was originally built what, 1939?
Yeah, 1939. The first show there was November 4th, 1939.
Okay. So, whoops. So we were actually, let me pull that up there. So we were actually almost there on the anniversary because we were there
Yeah,
the
very close.
day before Halloween.
Yep. We filmed an exile documentary there on the anniversary.
Wow. When does that come out, do you know?
I believe they said February. It was KET that did it,
Mhm.
Okay.
Kentucky Educational Television.
Oh, nice, nice. Actually, KET puts out some great stuff. I know before I went to the Hotel Metropolitan, I had watched several that they had put on there at that location. So I look forward to watching that.
I've
Um,
actually worked with them quite a bit this year. Uh,
okay.
They
And
they
so
they did an episode of Kentucky Life there.
Yeah. I
very
like that.
cool. And so I think I've got a picture of um how all this is of course that's from the new entertainment center there. Um and so everything is really kind of set up when like you've got whenever you walk into you can go into the barn or go into the new barn, and then you've got that I love that little town scene that
Mhm.
you all have across the kind of across the square or whatever there from the building. I believe there we kind of have a
Yeah, yeah,
picture of how it's set up.
the village we call it.
Yes. Yeah.
And the cool thing, the church in there was built. Hank Cochran had gotten legendary country music songwriter. He and Jeannie Seeley got married in that church there at Renfro Valley.
Okay, and was that one originally there or was that moved?
That was originally built, if I'm not mistaken, and
Okay.
it was specifically because of Hank wanting to get married there.
Hmm.
He had him and Willie Nelson and Ray. I think it was Ray Price. At one point had owned, kind of had that lease to own option to purchase Renfro Valley, and that was many, many years ago.
Okay. And I see a comment here, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Sonia says, Lee, she loved your performance during the live.
Oh, thank you very much, Sonia.
We which we'll pull all that up here in a few minutes, but we kind of put Lee on the spot a little bit and asked him to perform during, and oh my gosh, he blew us away. And I think blew the spirits away too there.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
And so this kind of shows a picture there. They've got the country music store there, and the new barn, the old barn, and just the memorabilia that you guys had around there, just in the areas in the old barn and around the whole property, was really, really cool. I could have spent hours sitting there looking at all that.
There's a lot to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, are any of the buildings open at all during, like on the weekend or anything, or are they just open during showtime?
The country music store is open a few hours before showtime typically, and there's a couple of the shops over there that are open now. We're actively remodeling and kind of working towards getting that stuff rented. So
Okay.
we're heading in the right direction with all of it. It's just, coming back from COVID, it's taking time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did show the show schedule there during the live, and you guys have a really cool and really full schedule coming up for here in December.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to be busy.
And I think that actually this shows it here on the thing of some of the folks that's going to be here during November and December. Everything from the Oak Ridge Boys and the Isaacs, Girl Named Tom, Wizards of Winter. I mean, this is going to be a cool Christmas season for you guys.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it.
And so I'm going to pull this up just so we have it on here. The place where folks can find out about concerts and anything that y'all have going on. What is the website for that?
It's www.renfrovalley.com.
Okay.
And make sure to go to our website, because if you just Google it, there are a number of third-party ticket sellers that will rip you off.
I understand. Let's see here. I'm going to pull that up. I have that up on the screen there just so we make sure we highlight that so that everyone can go and pull that up later on. If they're going back and watching the show, they will see that pop up in the comments there. So I'm going to pull that up there. And so yes, you all have the RV park, and I mean, a lot of things in this area that people can do if they're coming to the area.
Yeah, definitely.
So why don't you go ahead then and tell us a little bit, Lee, about some of the supposed or rumored activity that people have experienced there during at the Renfro Valley Entertainment Center.
I actually heard a new one since you were there. The same gentleman that had the Christmas tree story. Evidently, he had called another guy one night and needed some help, or he had to leave early or something along those lines, and said as soon as he got off the phone, he heard footsteps. And he got up and was turned around and was like, "Man, that was fast." And there was nobody there. And of course, Justin's Christmas tree story, it's a real good one. He had went through, unplugged all the Christmas lights and made sure that, everything was good for the evening. And a little while later came back through and the Christmas tree was on. Well, then when he went to unlock the door to go in and turn it off, it went out. And when he got in there, it was unplugged. So that's a good one. And then, I guess alluding back to the video, there was the little doors up there at the top of the steps that we didn't really get a whole lot into in the video. I'm sure that some of the static cam stuff, you had a static cam set up there. So maybe we'll hear more about that when that comes out. But yeah, they would I would close them as I went through, and they would be open when I came back out.
Wow.
And it was pretty consistent when I first started there. Like, it hasn't happened in a while, but when I first started there, it was almost every time I'd go upstairs, you know.
And we checked
And
those doors. Those doors were, I mean, it's almost like they have a magnet or something that latches the doors closed. So it's not something that could be jarred or something that could be pulled. I mean, they're pretty thick and hefty doors that you do have to pull pretty good to get them to open.
yeah, there's definitely a latch on them. And then also there's the story about the Three Dog Night Show where the guy's sister could, you know, she's supposedly been able to see ghosts her whole life and watched the one fly around the room through the entire show.
Nice. I'm looking forward to going back to where we played that and see if we're able to see anything on our static cameras or even on our live camera.
Well, then the other one that I told you about when we spoke earlier, day before yesterday, I think, a couple of my guys were going upstairs and one of them couldn't get his light to come on. And the other guy was like, "Oh, there's nothing up there, go on." And as soon as he rounded the corner, he saw movement, and it was right there where we were set up. And he said he illustrated it to me several times. He was like, it was like somebody had their foot out there and they pulled it in right as soon as he looked, you know.
Oh, well, I know that administration building, that one actually really exceeded my expectations and was pretty creepy.
Yeah, I think that's the spot. Like, I think you should totally come back and we should investigate that one further.
I think so because it just seemed like we had nothing but crazy activity from the minute we were in there. And I was looking here. I thought I had sent myself. I know I took some pictures of the admin building, but for some reason I don't think it sent to my phone or sent to my computer here. But that place, so that one was built what in the 50s? We said.
Mhm.
I believe so, the original part of it, and then, you know, there was an add-on later. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the original part of that building was built in the 50s. There's a picture there somewhere on the property. It may have been something that we found when we were in the middle of remodeling here recently.
Mhm.
But I was pretty sure it was that building, but it was kind of different. And but I think they came in at one point and redid the roof and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure it's the same building. And in the picture, you know, I mean, all the cars are from way back. So
Yeah. Well, we'll
Jessica's probably seen the picture of the Lodge restaurant with all the old car. You know, there's a bunch of old cars. And I mean, that picture's from the 50s or 60s, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It was right around the 50s, seems like.
It seems like same era of pictures to the one that I'm talking about. So.
And I'm referencing Pete Stamper's. It all came from. I'm seeing if there's anything in it real quick about the admin building, but he actually references the Heritage Hall of about Laura Lee and the ghost and the stairwell activity that you all experienced too. And it's very haunted.
and Pete Stamper, he was a comedian, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was the longest performer, I guess you could say. He just passed away it was right during COVID time, so it was about 3 years ago. He had passed away, and he was on the radio show as well as performed at Renfro Valley. He was also a manager of Dolly Parton for a couple of years as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I want to get with you when we get ready to put this episode together. I want to get with you on some of the stuff in that book because the fact that he references these hauntings is so cool. And do you know when his book came out or when he was telling these stories?
Oh goodness, I can tell you right off the bat because it'll say when it's published. 1999.
Okay.
And we actually got it on sale at the Kentucky in our gift shop at the Hall of Fame too.
Oh,
and it's got pictures too of the performers, but it kind of gives you that timeline over the years about the history of Renfro Valley, the people that's come through, and then personal stories of him being with Dolly Parton and managing her. And she's been in town, and it's always been rumored that Dolly was going to buy Renfro Valley, and of course, she hasn't. And I think here in the last year they've done pretty well. And you know, the turn of the economy and everything, we never knew if any of our live venues were going to stay, open, and they pushed through. And the Anakin family, they have really done an excellent job, I will say. And Lee and the whole team over there have done a really good job of honoring the history, but also making some changes and doing really well.
Absolutely.
It's all the Innokings. If it weren't for them, we would have been done a long time ago. Like, they've carried that place for a long time, and it's finally starting to pay off for them. But they love it, and a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, they're the backbone of that whole operation.
That's wonderful. And guys, you've definitely got to go check this place out. Because I mean, just the shows that they have there and just going and seeing the history. I know I'm seeing comments here. Laura Kay says her grandmother worked for Mr. Lair and Renfro was her first job. How cool is that? We like, and that's been the biggest thing this season is that, we've gone in and gone to these locations that have either been old homesteads or locations that maybe people aren't as familiar with, at least in the paranormal community. And so being able to share this history of these locations has been the most important part, and letting people know that these are cool places that you can go check out, because going to the concerts here, going to the tours at some of these museums and such, that's what keeps these locations alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chris Smith says, after y'all hunted last week, I have heard what sounded like somebody walking about in the store. Has anybody else heard that?
Chris works in the liquor store over there, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's been on the property.
Nice. Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to going through and watching the static cams, because I believe we had up 4 or 5. Let's see, we had a static cam there in the mosaic, or not mosaic. I don't know why I want to call it
mural room.
The mural room. Yes. We had one there in the hall on those doors that you talked about. We had one in the old barn, and then we had one in I'm trying to remember the other spot, because I know we had a fourth camera.
There were 2 in the old barn, weren't there? One pointing from the stage back toward the back of the room, and then the other one on the barn pointing at the stage, maybe, or on the bar. Yeah, on the bar.
I don't know if I got one up there I was going to put one up there on the second level. I know I put some flashlights up there. I need to go back and see. I don't think I got one put up there, but I'm going to look through and, I know they're in the in Heritage Hall there where the animatronic was on that bottom level.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The
so
creepy animatronic.
that was so creepy. It was cool looking because whoever made it looked realistic, but wow, if that would have gone off in the middle of the night, that would have been so cool.
No, I believe that was supposed to have been made by Disney, like way back in the probably 60s.
That's cool. Just want to say hello to just a few people here that's popped on. Hey, James Brady from Dark 30 Paranormal. He's the one that made the music box that we were actually talking about just a little bit earlier. Made the music box for us. Larry Eisler there from Expedition Entity. And Nancy says, did you leave the baby doll? I did leave the baby doll. And I think some people maybe found that or saw it the other day.
Yes, a couple of people have run across that and been creeped out. Well, what's that doing there?
I look forward to seeing if she interacted, because she was very clear she wanted that baby doll. We did find out there was a spirit by the name of Lorelei, or Loralee. Is it Lorelei?
Lorelei is what I've always heard.
Okay.
Lei is the way I've seen it spelled.
Okay, and that's the one that Mr. Stamper had spoke about as well, correct? Or did he mention that one in his book?
Yeah, he does mention her in the book, and there's several stories in the book about her just magically appearing while he was in the radio or in the office, and as well as in the radio station there. too.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to queue up the video here. And so we're just going to kind of talk through it a little bit. We will play some of the audio in some of the different sections right here. And I know if you guys in the chat room, if you all remembered had any memorable moments or anything while we were watching or while it was happening, if you don't mind. I know you probably don't know the timestamps, but if you don't mind, just put that there in the comment section and we'll definitely pull that up. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. And like I said, I've got the audio turned off right now, but we did start with a great tour there. We did start in the old barn, and we had just got everything set up as far as the cameras. I think we were there a couple hours before we ended up going live. And so Lee did share some of those stories and some of the things that folks have experienced there. And then we went right into a pretty interesting session right there in whoops. Trying to see why this wouldn't let me pull up here. We went right into a pretty interesting session right there inside the old barn. It's interesting to me right there as we had set up, because we set up the tripwire there in the middle of the dance floor, set a tripwire up on the stage, which in the beginning, I think we did come to think that maybe there was something that was setting off the something under the stage that was setting off that tripwire. But it's interesting that it didn't go off at first until Lee started playing his music.
Yeah, I went and got the guitar and I came back and I actually went back and watched the video, and it maybe goes off a few times before I get back with the guitar, but then it calmed back down.
Yeah.
And I went around to turn those lights off, and as soon as I walked back in, they were going disco. I mean, it was crazy. and you all were walking out toward the front of the house, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, what do I do here? So I yelled out, I'm like, ladies?
Yeah, I think we had, let's see. And I don't remember what we got on. Let's see, what was that we got on the Ovilus there? Let me turn the sound on that. So we also put flashlights up on all the different tables. We put flashlights there on the bar, and then we put a couple flashlights up on the upstairs there on the balcony area. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I love the flashlights, especially in locations that are not overly investigated, because they're so easy to use.
All right.
I thought it was
Dee Dee said,
interesting
can they
that
light
we
up
were
where they're
having
standing?
a lot of activity going off there when we would ask specific questions there at the table. And then, of course, I believe Lee is already up there on the stage there.
Yeah, I believe I just turned the lights off there.
Yeah. Now I was curious to see what the Ovilus had said, so I did go. Now, what was interesting to me on this was all of a sudden the sound went crazy as soon as Lee started playing. And it maybe not wasn't as soon as he started playing, but it was pretty quick thereafter.
I think I got about a half a word out. Cuts out.
So we had flashlights going off there at the bar, and then of course we started getting them going off at each of the tables. Yeah, that sound gets crazy.
To me, it sounds like I hit a limiter or something on your microphone and it never lets go.
Which I gotta say, one of the things that I really, really like about my Android phone that I have is that the microphone on that is incredible and picks up sometimes better than my recorders do. Now, of course, on a live, it's a little bit different, but that's one of the things I love about using that phone to record is the microphone is. I mean, it'll pick up a whisper like nothing else. So that's why that surprised me that went kind of wonky like that. And we didn't seem to be having any internet issues either.
Yeah, I'm kind of loud.
It was, I mean, it was such a wonderful performance. I think we had you do 2 songs, I believe. And then after that, we ended up having to change phones. Let's see. Okay, I think it said band. Yeah, on that one it said, on the Ovilus it said band, which was really cool when Lee started playing. And so, if I'm not mistaken at this point, someone brought up in the comments section that it sounded like it was coming through like an old radio station. I'm going to try to find the... Okay. We also played
Anybody here from the 1930s?
a John Layer broadcast
Mhm.
here. And of course, we were getting a lot of things lighting up.
All
As soon as
right.
we started playing, we were
Thank you.
getting...
How about you in the middle?
and I'm not sure why my...
It was right after you all played the John Lair broadcast, and I think you went up on stage. That's when the sound went like almost like an AM radio.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they went up in the balcony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we pre-recorded this John Lair broadcast, and so while we were playing that, we were getting a lot of activity, a lot of flashlight activity going off. Plus, when we were talking about the bar, which you were saying they didn't even really start serving alcoholic drinks there, till last year?
2019.
Okay. Okay. And so, like I said, just looking over here at the comments. Nancy, yeah, this is going to be a fantastic episode when this is re-released because we had so much happen that we were aware of. I can't wait to go back and see what we caught that we weren't aware of. And then she also says, good projecting your voice. So I don't think you didn't have any microphones or anything like that hooked up, a PA system or anything on that, did you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't
Like I said,
think
I'm
so.
just loud.
You're just a good sound guy. You know your job. So we did not get any activity there on the tripwire there on the bottom part, as well as in any of the rooms, which was interesting. I think that's always kind of telling.
Yeah, this is where you're like, as soon as the broadcast was done, then all of a sudden your old vocals turn like robotic, and then it's almost like an old AM radio broadcast. It was like it was bizarre for sure.
Yeah, that's just kind of listening to it. And I'm seeing the comments over here. Yeah, Trista Yates says, what happened to the audio?
If you go back and watch, like it goes out and then you all switch to Chris's phone and it's okay. And then you switch back to yours to try it again and it goes right back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So then you all switched over, again, and it was fine for the rest of the thing.
So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit ahead here to where we went. Anybody saying, does it sound any better? Everybody's saying no. It still sounds. Yeah, it's very tinny sounding too.
There was also a point here where you had like a male undertone.
Yeah.
And a couple of months ago over in the new barn during a show, I had an opener. And like when she was talking in between songs, she had this male undertone. And, you know, my natural inclination, well, this is an effect or something. I was running on somebody else's scene on the console. So I was like, oh, they got something goofy on the effects. I couldn't find anything. I still don't know what it was.
Wow. Did she notice it,
Oh
or?
yeah, she heard it too. We discussed it afterwards. Like it was pretty obvious. And I think Chris even comments because I said something about it in there. And Chris from the liquor store that commented a few minutes ago, he said that it sounded like there was a demon behind her, like it was more than just a male undertone.
Yeah, and that was I remember somebody was saying that, and I feel like I was up in the balcony at that point. Yeah, we even did a sound check there to see if anything had happened. Yeah, Dee Dee says that was so interesting on the sound. In fact, we kind of talked about that a little bit when I was on her podcast this past week. I'm interested to go back and just make sure on my next live that my phone doesn't do anything like that, because I had a weird issue with the sound when we were investigating the church in Appomattox. It wasn't like this, but it was different. And I thought that could have had something to do with the internet. But I'll be interested to see if anything kind of goes wonky.
The IT guy in me says to restart the thing, like, you know, power cycle it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of move forward a little bit to 135 here.
This was a broadcast facility.
Let's see. So we had gone over to, at this point, we were over here in Heritage Hall, which is the old administration building. And this room that we're showing right here, this was the mural room. And this one was the one that, of course, I think it's interesting in there showing the music from. Oh, and that was interesting because it said student, I believe. And you brought up a good point, Lee, that they would have at one point had classes in that area, correct?
That it's at least a possibility. Like it, you know, seems like a good place for a class to have been taught at some point.
Yeah. And so this room, I'm interested to see if, so we had a laser grid put up there. We also had a static camera. So I'll be going back watching that footage to see if anybody came through that room or we had any movement. Jason says, I was running monitors. I remember asking Lee if it was a subharmonic bass boost.
Yeah, he's talking about the undertone in Kayla's stuff. So
okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and move just a little bit more forward. And so after we left this room right here, we headed on upstairs to of course, there we are showing the doors and just how hard those were to open. I mean, it's definitely not something that's going to just pop open by no means. In this area, we set a static cam up. We also set another laser grid so that we could hopefully, if something was going to open the doors, maybe we could catch some kind of shadow figure or something through that laser grid. And then this area was interesting, and I'll play the sound here in just a minute. I did bring the doll up because that we were hoping to maybe see if we could make contact with Lorelei or whoever may have been opening those doors. And then we also had the music box set up there. And this is where we end up actually ended up leaving the doll. So let me kind of get that time.
Right when we walk in there is when the obelisk said sit. And so
That's
I just
right.
plopped down on the floor.
it by your choice if you want to. Justin
Flea
said
is a
if
dog.
he's not
Sit.
mistaken,
I was gonna say,
Spring
speaking of
was
which,
killed-
I'm surprised that my dog's
Spring
not
was
been
killed
barking
just
at us the
outside
whole time. I
Nashville,
thought I'd have to
and
put him out.
Dee Dee heard tapping.
Okay, so I'm gonna see where I think we're right about that spot.
that door?
Whoa. Holy crap.
Let's see, what was that? That was the knock,
If
wasn't
he's
it?
not mistaken,
I think so,
Spring
yeah.
was killed.
Let's see.
String Bean was killed just outside of Nashville, and
He
Dee Dee heard tapping.
Can you open that door?
Whoa. Holy crap.
See, we may not have heard it on the audio there, but I know that when we asked if they would open the door, we heard that pop
That was loud.
or that knock.
Can you just step out into the hallway, please?
Is there a David here?
Slot, truck, and catch. Sit.
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 All right, I'm down for sitting.
All right, we'll sit here. Roadway. Her.
Whoops. Jason said that they've definitely had some major gremlins in the last couple of weeks there.
Down there.
I'll just sit down there and put the baby doll right beside it.
And hello, Horror Junkie. Thank you for watching.
I brought you a doll. If you make this music box go off, I'll let you keep it. Facing this way or facing out?
Probably facing that way so we don't set it off.
So this was interesting to me because, I mean, it has a wide range, but it would have been right in the very front. I had it turned completely backwards. So
If you can make the music play, you can have this doll. I'll also give you some candy. What?
Nice. Holy crap. There's no way you set that off.
No,
It's facing the other way.
it's facing the other direction. I'm just gonna walk toward it.
Make sure it wasn't your shadow, but if that's your shadow, then that thing
that was really
is
cool.
very powerful.
Mhm.
I will cross my shadow.
Come back again.
And see if it had been me setting it off, it would have gone off again right up there.
When it went off,
It was at this point where I really got interested. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's not your shadow.
That's not my shadow. I guess I gotta give her my baby doll.
That's awesome.
Is it the baby doll or the candy you want?
Oh my God, I just got chills.
Yeah, Dee Dee, that music
no way you
box
set off that
James
music
made
box.
is really
No.
cool.
Lorelai, was that you? Can you make that music box play one more time, please?
I've got another doll downstairs you can have. If you make that music box go off, I'll give you another doll. And I'll give you some candy. That one's wild.
That was crazy cool. All right.
And so if people don't know, that
I
room
gotta get to the
opens up
comments. I'm slacking.
as you go back there into a really big room. And there's another hallway off the back side of that,
Awesome.
correct?
That's where the
Let's
switchback
see
stairs
here.
go down.
Saw that,
And
then
one,
Okay.
heard that. That
There's
area's
actually
after
another
dark,
room
heard
on the other
that.
end of that
Go
that
sit
has like a
there.
little weird
Ghost
stage. It's a
box.
really
Yeah,
small
we'll
stage.
use the ghost box and the
Almost like
EVPs
a
here.
puppet show or something.
That's right.
Ronald said, I heard that she may have been hit by a car on 25 in a
It's right
rainstorm.
here.
This said puddle and it said truck.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, when we got.
That was
up
kinda
there, it said
weird.
puddle and truck.
Yeah.
A lot of WTFs. Holy cow. Wow. Now you have to give her your doll. Good
I know.
catch. Guess she has a new doll. Sit and talk.
Yeah, it said sit again.
That was
Minnie.
cool that it said it normally doesn't repeat itself, at least not.
Holy crap.
Dude, I think that
Oh,
was
shit.
trash downstairs.
Let's see.
That was so loud.
Let me go back there.
That's when Lee was just sitting around.
It said sit again. Minnie and statement.
Holy crap.
Dude, I think that
Oh,
was
shit.
trash downstairs.
That was so loud.
Yeah, and that was crazy because once we
Cucumber. Look at him.
Lee said
Nothing
just like they
phases
told him
me.
to.
He's like,
That was me.
this says
Who
seller.
am I to argue?
foot.
That's right.
Lorelai, are you with us?
We were hearing a lot of stuff up there.
Can you make that noise again, please?
You always hear a lot of stuff. Like it's noisy in all
Oh.
the buildings.
Are
Oh,
you
And-
still
okay.
with
But
us?
it's all unexplained. I guess what was that?
Do you like your new baby doll? Do you want to reach out and just touch her? So you can set off that alarm?
And I think we had the
We
baby
could
doll
also
sitting
do,
right on the
if
music
she
box
likes to
too.
run, we could put that tripwire out.
Yeah.
And see if she'll,
I'd put it down there again.
that's what I'm thinking, maybe put it down there and it might set the music box off again.
Yeah, they just heard a child. She looked at you, heard something too. Nancy heard a voice. Something moved when you turned the camera back around. That was a window, but not sure.
Now that was
But
interesting. I
something
actually got a
posted off in
message
front of you,
from
one left to the right.
Bob
You all
that
caught it for sure.
I want to
All right,
check
thanks, Bob.
out
We'll go back and take a look at
because
that.
whenever we turn it,
Put it on the back
at that
side.
moment, I thought maybe Lee was sitting back there where we heard that sound.
What, the lights?
And
Yeah, I would.
something moved, but of course he was sitting down below there where we had shined the camera, and so someone had actually sent a message with that timestamp. So I've got to go back and look at that because it did look like something had moved back in behind there.
Yeah, you have to be right
Yeah,
there to set
I've
it off.
watched that 2 or 3
was
times
definitely not
today,
you.
and after I think there's a door
Hold
there
on.
that has like glass pane, and it's like
Oh,
it's
okay.
in the direction they're pointing now. And I think there's a little sliver of
Definitely
window.
sounds like
I'm
there's
thinking
footsteps.
that's the
Either
interstate
over
because I
there
saw that
Okay.
movement too, and then I remember that comment when I was watching earlier today.
Okay. Good to know because I'll probably on anything like this as I'm starting to put the episode together, I'll reach out to you to see if you wouldn't mind verifying certain things like that. just to
Yeah,
make
for sure. And that one I caught, I saw the same movement, and then I heard her say the comment, and I'm like, I saw that too. And I got to looking at it, and I was like, no, that's not the window. It's in the middle of the wall. What is that? You know, but then after I looked at it a little further, I think it's just sort of an optical illusion.
Okay.
It's like you can see through the door, and I think you're just catching a
That's
little
what it looks
edge
like when
of
I'm
the
trying to
window.
untangle Christmas
And
lights.
Okay.
And that the actual door that closes there looks like a window, so it throws you off, you know.
Okay. And I mean, this kind of shows you right there of where you have to be for that music box to go off, either at that point or closer. So definitely
Yeah.
when it went
Yeah.
off, we were on the front side of it. So
Mm-mm.
I was convinced you didn't set it up.
No.
Like I told you all that night, like I went into this completely skeptical, you know.
Mhm.
And the music box was when I really like.
Okay, all
There
right.
were a few things before that, but that was the clincher right there. And
Yeah.
then when we get on up to the headphones and the
Yeah, it is
rods,
spooky with the
that
music.
gets
that's
extremely
going
interesting
off.
also.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have anybody back there, Bob, but I'm sure Miranda will go back and take a watch.
Yeah, and so
See
that's
if
where
she
we were
sees
talking
it.
about the figure back there. So I'll definitely let Bob know
Yeah, 'cause
on
right now
that.
there's just the three of us that are here in the building.
So
Three on the property now. The liquor store's closed.
I'll go
Okay,
ahead
good.
and move on forward a little bit here.
It sounded like it was coming
Because
from
we
there.
did
Maybe
end
that
up
wasn't
putting
music.
a ball there in the hall.
Okay.
Also had the camera on that. We killed the lights. We never got
Oh, this says age.
Well,
You
what?
ask how old you are, and this says age.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Can you tell us your age?
of course I think on this part we just kind of did just a
Castle Tourism said sorry.
regular EVP session.
It's gonna
So
be a cold night. You said snow. Yeah, chilly window.
And this
so it'll
is
be cool
January.
to go back and see if we caught any
I wonder if she
voices
died in
during this.
January.
Let's see here.
Well, I'm gonna call out some ages,
So
and when I get to your age.
I'm going to move forward just a little bit.
Canceling headphones on.
Um,
I'm gonna sit up here.
so if you missed this part of the live, we decided we were going to do something a little bit different. So we did do an Estes method session. Oh, I see the door you're talking about, Lee. So we did end up doing an Estes method. And if you're not familiar with that, the Estes method is where you go in, plug into an AM/FM radio, and then also you wear noise canceling headphones as well as blindfold. So you go into that sensory deprived state. And I was wearing the headphones, had the I had my eyes covered and was listening to the Spirit Box. And Lee and Christy were sitting way back there in that area. They were kind of back from where I was at. And of course, I couldn't hear any of the questions. We did that Estes method session. I think that we actually got some pretty interesting responses on that, but I'm going to skip ahead and we tried to do something a little different with the dowsing rods. And so the dowsing rods, people use them to find water, in some instances, they use them to find bodies, use them to find different things, ley lines, that sort of thing. You cannot control them. They're a copper rod that's inside of a metal sheath. So they free spin on their own. And in order to take the human element out of it, I actually did the rods with the Spirit Box going. So I actually did not hear any of the questions that were being asked. And that I know Lee can probably confirm that Spirit Box is loud when with the
I
headphones.
could hear the static, and I was at least 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And so there is no way that you could have heard anything that we were saying.
No. And so so I like to take that that human element out. So I'm going to fast forward to that, and we're going to kind of listen to the dowsing rod session here. Let me find that here. I think there's where I was explaining it. Okay. So what I was also doing was we did have the K2 meter out. We had the tripwire in behind. We had flashlights. We had the Ovilus sitting there. So I'm going to go ahead, turn the sound back on, and we'll watch this
Oh wait, hold on. Let me get to the comment section again.
session.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is.
Wow.
See. I'm going to look at the comments here while we're getting that ready. Dee Dee says it's great to be able to go back and double check. It really is because things look so different
Okay, I'm
during the
just gonna-
day
I'll tell you
or
if I hear anything.
when you're not live and not investigating. So
And
I'm always
Well-
thankful to be able to go back and double check.
I'm just gonna explain real quick. If you want to talk through these rods, all you have to do is move them, cross them for yes, open them for no. You can also move them to point to things. But my friends are gonna ask the questions. And you can just come and you can hold the rods and,
Yeah, she's yelling because that's how loud the.
okay, I got something that's.
Yeah, I was yelling because it was really loud inside my head there.
Noise canceling headphones on attached to the AM/FM radio, so she cannot hear us.
And so sometimes it's kind of
Do you
hard
like to sing?
to see the
Cross
rods
If
there.
you like to sing.
Well, that was a quick yes.
Thank you. Can you open the rods, please? Open them all the
The
way.
male voice just said, that's right.
Yeah, I was getting a
Do
lot
you
of
feel
responses
safe
on
here?
that.
Cross the rods if you feel safe here.
And I believe these
Okay,
questions
can you
were
uncross
questions
them,
that were
please?
being asked by the people in the chat room.
Uncross them.
Yeah, I think most of them were comments. I was watching this part earlier.
Okay.
Uncross them all the way so I can ask you more questions, please.
I've got some cold chills over here by my hands.
Can you open them? Can you point both of the rods to where I am standing? Or them toward me, please.
Thank you.
Point them both toward me.
Well, that was kind of interesting.
Now I need to open them up, all the way so we can ask you more questions.
It felt like at times the rods were going pretty crazy.
Do you stay here by choice? Cross the rods if you're here because you want to be here. Okay, uncross them for me, please. Uncross them for me. Are you a man? If you're a man, can you cross the rods?
Who? That was a male voice.
You're doing great. Thank you.
Keep it slow.
Open them up for me, please, all the way. Now, what Miranda is saying are words that she's hearing on the spirit box, y'all. She can't hear me. So that's what she's saying is what's coming through the spirit box.
Mammal.
Can you stop the rods from shaking, please?
Yeah, and if you can if anyone can kind of hear, you can sort of hear the spirit box cycling through there too. That's what that whispering sort of sound is that you can hear.
All right, stop the rods from shaking.
Yeah, I could hear it the whole time and was wondering how
Can
you
you
could tolerate it. I was like,
Come up
that's
for
got to
me.
be loud.
It was loud, and then
All right, there's a man
having the
behind
noise
me.
cancelers on too. It really does
You need to
mess
open
with
them
you.
all the way.
Hmm.
So we can get a reset. Can you open them all the way, please? So I can ask you more questions.
Sometimes
it
I'll
came
do the
right
rods
from my lap.
blindfolded as well,
Okay.
but
Is there a child here?
sometimes it's too much
Cross
when
them
you're in
if there's
that
a child here.
state.
Okay, thank you. Can you open them back up, please? Open them back up for me.
It's interesting.
way,
It doesn't
please.
sound
Open 'em up.
like the Ovilus or the word bank there. It didn't sound like it really said anything.
All right, anybody else have any more questions? I need you to stop swinging them. Can you stop them from swinging, please?
The pull on that one was pretty crazy that
Something
night. It's like something was just
Scream
flicking it.
Dolly.
Wow.
You even comment on that here in a minute.
Well, Dolly's from Tennessee,
Yeah, and the Pete
but I'm sure
Stanford.
Kentucky people like Dolly too.
Of course, maybe they were talking about like the doll.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Now, what
I
was
just
that
said
one?
Went off.
I just
Okay,
said
so
in the
long-standing
background, there's a
rumor.
long-standing rumor that Dolly was going to buy.
Long-standing rumor that Dolly Parton was going to buy this place. That's crazy.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
Okay, I've got to reposition.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
While I'm
Jason, she's saying she
repositioning
likes
there,
the dolls. I can go
hello
with
to
that too.
Bedford
Dolly likes-
Paranormal.
Yeah. Sorry, from Tennessee. I just went right to
Holly
Dolly.
Welch there from the UK. Thank you so much
Okay.
for watching. Miss Mary Lynn from Texas.
Can you? All right. Yeah, I guess
Hello, Richard
she's crossing
Courtney.
them. So Dolly, whoops, sorry guys. Oh, darn it.
Good old
Hold
Richard.
on.
Yeah, Rick's one of our employees.
Sorry. I guess Dolly meant dolls. Open them all the way. Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Dee Dee. Anytime that I can kind of
Do you want Miranda
modify a
to leave you
method
candy?
to
Cross the rods if
take
you
the
want some
human
candy.
element out of it, I like to do that.
Cross them. There you go. All right, I'll make sure she leaves you something good, not like cheap stuff. Open them back up. Open them back up for me. It's weird that the K2 meter's going off right here too.
Oh, that was interesting. I didn't know it was going off.
Do you have unfinished business? Is that why you stay here? Yeah, $100 candy. Do you have unfinished business? Cross the rods if you have unfinished business. So you stay here because you want to be here? Cross them if you stay here because you want to be here. Okay.
That was a pretty dramatic cross.
All right. That's a pretty solid yes. Open them all the way up for me. Open them all the way. Yeah, K2's going off. Open them all the way and stop shaking them so I can ask one more question. Are you afraid to leave?
There it is. It's a man's voice.
So you're afraid to leave? Cross them if they're afraid to leave. Well,
Wow, these
Yeah,
are
that
pulling
part was pretty
strong.
creepy.
well,
Yeah.
The rest of it.
Now, is there
Yeah,
ever a
these are
whole
hard
lot of people
questions.
in
These
that
are
building,
hard.
Lee?
all right.
No,
well,
there
listen,
hasn't been
open
since
it-
about
open it up. Open them all
2016
the
was
way
the
for
last
me.
time we had like a tour group over there that we used to feed people there,
Open them all the way.
Okay.
but it's been shut down.
Can you
since
see
then.
Miranda on the floor?
Okay. So now just
Can you
every now
physically
and then
see
a
her?
couple people in
Cross the
there.
rods for yes.
I mean, it was basically me for a few years, and now that we're remodeling, there's been people
Okay,
in
so you
there.
can
There's
probably
been some
only hear her.
activity, but it's
Do you
been
feel like
pretty
she's
empty
helping
for a
you?
while.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I guess Miranda's not helping. Okay, because they're definitely not crossing. Do you like when people come and speak with you? Cross the rods if you like when people come and speak with you. Okay. Open them up for me. Open them up and stop shaking. All right, thank you. Is someone stopping you from leaving? Is someone stopping you from leaving this building?
It is interesting.
Can you cross them if
Um,
you were here in the 1940s?
A lot of those responses, I mean, it wasn't just like random rods crossing. I mean, they were crossing
Cross the
or
rods
not
if you were here in the
crossing
1940s.
to the specific questions. It wasn't like they were just
All right, what about
would
the
just randomly
1950s?
go.
Were you here in the 1950s?
When she
All
starts
right.
asking if it wants
All
us
right,
to
can you
leave it
stop
alone
them?
here in a minute, it gets interesting too.
Open them up and stop them
Ah.
from shaking for me. Open them all the way. I need you to open them. Are you not going to open them?
That's interesting, Holly.
Open them if you're done speaking with us.
There
Open
very
them all
well
the
could have
way,
been a
as wide as you can.
old man around
If you want
there.
us to leave you alone for the rest of the night, can you open them wide? A little bit wider. If you can open them and point, if you can open them really wide,
Allow me. As a man.
okay, cross them one more time for me if you'd like us to leave your space. Cross them if you want us to leave your space. Wow. Do you want us to stay? Cross them if you want us to stay. Cross them if you're tired. A little bit. Little bit.
Say.
It seriously said stay.
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh. That's awesome. Okay.
Wow.
Open them up then. Open them up and stop them from shaking.
Wow, that's
I'll ask you
cool.
more questions. You got to open them up and stop them from shaking for me. Okay, thank you. Guys, I need more questions. I'm out of questions. Oh, well, maybe we're done here. That was pretty spot on.
Really?
It was pretty awesome, actually.
I mean, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, yeah, I know you're really loud, but that was fine.
But I'm glad because
Okay. Hold on. I think this thing is going to fall.
it's always kind of weird.
Hold on 1 second.
You know that?
No, hold on.
Let's see. I'm
Sorry,
trying
Richard.
to.
I keep forgetting to ask this question. Poor guy, he's only asked it like 4 times. Okay.
But good to hear.
I think after that, we pretty well. Let's see. We left the baby, and
Yeah, we went over to the new barn at that point.
that's right. That's right. We went over to the new barn. We didn't really. We set up 2 tripwires in the new barn, and which is the very, very big event venue. And so we had tripwires set up there on the main aisles, and then we had some random flashlights set up throughout several of the close seats there. We played Three Dog Night. We also played Elvira. So I look forward to going back and kind of seeing if we see anything there. And and of course, this was where it was originally said that um, the lady who could see spiritual activity. This was the one, right, where she said that she saw him, or was that in the old barn?
No, that was in here. That was
That was in there.
during the Three Dog Night shows. I
Okay.
texted him that afternoon, and
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But we really didn't have anything go on that was significant that caught our eye here. But I thought it was kind of interesting. The guy that worked there that said that he had seen the red bandana. What was it, after a show? And then it was there. And then we didn't see anything there.
he came in first thing the next day and looked for it. Like, he was dead serious about that. And that was Jason that commented a little while ago. So
Okay. And he didn't see anything that next day either?
couldn't find any evidence whatsoever that ever existed.
Wow. I'm going to go back and watch all of this real carefully and see if we see anything at all. But to me, I thought the majority of the activity that we experienced was definitely there at Heritage Hall. And I think we definitely need to come back and really spend a lot of time in that location doing some interesting things, see what we can get.
For sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
And we're kind of panning throughout here. I think what they saw he had originally seen that up on, it was stage right, correct?
Yes.
That he had seen that up there in the balcony. Yeah. And so, but yeah, this was definitely a cool place and a cool experiment. And I think we were live for about 3.5. Let's see.
Was it 3:45 maybe?
Yeah, 3:45.
Yeah.
And I mean, that amount of time just doesn't do. We just skim the surface, really,
Mhm.
on that with
Mhm.
such a large location. And as Dee Dee says, she says this place was so cool. And so yeah, I mean, it's definitely an active place. Now, have you all had activity going on over there at the Country Music Hall of Fame that you've
Yeah,
ever
over at
experienced?
over at the Hall of Fame. I've been there for a year and a half officially as executive director, and I hadn't even been there 2 weeks. And as you go through the newer part, not in the barn part, but the back side of it, we've got an old vehicle, and the engine is gutted out of it. It's got a speaker system. It hasn't played in God knows how long. And I'm going around, going through some stuff. And all of a sudden I hear like Bill Monroe music. I keep hearing some things. I'm like, what is this music? So I'll run and get my assistant. And I said, come here. I was like, am I hearing things? What am I going on? And I just remember her looking at me, and she said, that has not played in probably 5 or 6 years that I've been here. And it was the
Wow.
speaker system. I said, maybe John Lair approves of me being here. But another time where my office is, right against it is what we call the Exile room, and it's Exile the band. And they've got a huge display. And most of our lights are trip set, so you have to walk in the room. It's an energy savings type thing. So you have to physically walk in the room, and it sets it off. And it was the week of our induction last year. And I'm there, it's late, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I've got a TV with security, the cameras and everything, so I can see what's going on. And in that room, at just corner of my eye, I look and I see on, off the lights. And I look up and it's in that room. And you can look back on the replay of the videos, which I should have saved them. But in the other rooms, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just that little camera. No, you can see it on the other cameras that point towards that room, that light is going on, off. And you have to, in that particular room, you have to get into almost the middle of it. I could not, and I was like, you know what? I'm going home. So, yeah. So that was probably, and we'll hear knocks and we'll hear like large bangs up in the barn part. They will hear doors open and close, and nobody's around on the campus. And then of course the John Lair, the house is historic as well. Both of them were built. Of course, the old barn where the entertainment center that was built in 39. Once they finally, and it's built like a tobacco barn or backer barn, as I always call it, because it was a running joke. If this music thing didn't become successful, he can at least have a field of backer the next year. So he built his house, which is an architectural wonder anyway, and then built the horse barn. And we still got the original horse stalls, 3 of them at least.
Wow.
And so he didn't build that until about 4 or 5 years later, after the success of the entertainment center. And also on the campus, we've got what we call Aunt Polly's cabin, and it's one of the oldest structures. It is a 2-story log cabin, and I've always heard stories of it being haunted, and would love to do some investigative work over there too, as well.
I would totally love to do that if we can set up a date and time. That'd be so much
Yes.
so much fun.
Yes.
So, but I can't thank you guys so much enough for watching this episode with us and breaking down, talking about the history, talking about the episode itself, and then just the beautiful location that you guys have.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming.
appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun. I had a blast.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
We definitely have to do it again. So
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to go through all the camera footage and just see if anything was happening. It's going to be cool to match up those timestamps to what we were doing in those other areas to see if anything we were doing up in that area was triggering something in one of the other areas, to see if, for some reason that might have made some of that go off. Definitely want to thank everyone over in the chat room for your comments tonight, and those of you that tuned in. I mean, some of you have been here every single week with us, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So if you do go back to any of the previous episodes, we're going to be over the next little bit going through reviewing evidence on all 5 of the episodes. So if you got some free time and you're sitting there rewatching some of those or watching them for the first time, and you notice something happen or hear something happen, take down that timestamp and send it to me, because we'll definitely shout you out there in the episode, and go back and look and help me find some of the different evidence that we've had. So I'm just looking at the comments here, and Dee Dee says, thanks for sharing such a cool location and investigation. Thank you for watching. I know Dee Dee's been there from all of them from start to finish, so we appreciate that. And James says, we volunteer to come help investigate, Miranda. And Sonia says, another great show. So but again, thank you all. I know we've been talking about, we are going to go back to historic rugby, and it's just been getting a date and time that I've been free. And so I think that's going to happen next week. I think maybe on Monday or Tuesday night, I'm going to go and do a little investigation there. We're going to wrap up season 6 with a surprise episode with 6 episodes instead of 5. So we will put a call out whenever we're going to do that, so you'll know in advance. So hopefully you can watch and investigate with us on that. But otherwise, we're wrapping up the season and getting here into the holiday season. We are planning to do some more live episodes as we go into Christmas. I had so much fun with this that we're definitely going to continue to do more of that. So we'll keep you posted as that stuff happens. Do you guys have anything big going on that you'd like to mention as we're wrapping up the show here?
Next year, 2024, is going to be a huge year. Of course, it's Renfro Valley's 85th anniversary. It'll also be the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. We'll have our induction ceremony at the fall next year as well. So it's going to be a huge year for sure.
Nice. You got anything, Lee?
we've got Trace Adkins November 11th, Crowder November 16th and 17th, Sunday Best November 18th, Girl Named Tom the 19th. Then the Oaks come in December 1st. That's the Oak Ridge Boys for the regular people. one Christmas night in Memphis on the 2nd, the Isaacs the 3rd, and actually I think the rest of those are on the live stream. We've got a couple that we have just announced for next year. Lori Morgan will be with us in February, so got lots of things going on in the Valley.
Nice. I love hearing that. And I know I've seen several of those folks. I went with my parents 2 different times to see the Oak Ridge Boys, and I enjoyed that so much. So, definitely, if you can get tickets to that one, I highly suggest that. And I've also seen the Isaacs, and that was a real fun show as well. So everyone, we will have, like I said, we will be live one night next week doing a live investigation there at Historic Rugby, and then we will be back on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time to probably get into another Ghost Biker Garage, since we'll have wrapped the season up. But if it's an active investigation there at Rugby, we may just kind of dissect that. We'll kind of see how that goes. But otherwise, we are not taking a break or anything leading into the holidays. We will have some great guests lined up on Thursday nights coming up here as we go through November and December. So like I said, just go back and review those episodes and watch those if you've not. So until next week, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you sometime early next week over at Historic Rugby. See you soon.